Welcome into CR Disc Golf. I'm Cooper. I'll be your host. I'll be the one taking you on this amateur disc golf journey. Just trying to see how far we can make it in our little disc golf game. I decided I was going to start posting videos on YouTube for fun and accountability. So, let me know what you want to see. But today, we're going to start with what I'm bagging this year. I will say I've already played one tournament this year in January, and a couple things have changed, but not really. I pretty much keep my bag the same as much as I can. Even though I have a plethora of discs hidden in my closet, I do keep my bag pretty much the same until I'm like, man, I have zero confidence left in this disc, and I move on with my life. Anyways, let's start with our putting putters. This year, I made the switch from daggers to the Pixel. I putted the daggers in my first tournament, and it was fine. I didn't putt terrible with them in the last year, but I borrowed a couple of Pixels from a buddy and fell in love with them, like immediately. And so the Pixel has taken my putting putter slot for the year. And so these are in the Electron plastic. I don't want firm and I didn't want soft. I do like a gummier putting putter. And so that's why I went with just the straight Electron plastic. I put in a range, which could be considered a putter, could be considered an approach disc. This I've only tested in the field for like 3 or 4 throws at this point, and so I'm not sure how long it'll be in the bag, not sure if it'll stay in the bag. We're gonna see, but from what I understand, it's a great point and shoot from like that 200 to 250 range. That was unintentional. That was a pun. A point and shoot disc that, will hold whatever line I kind of want to put it on. We'll see. I'm excited to try it on a course and see how it holds up out there. My throwing putters, I bag 3 of them. I bag a Keystone. This one stays in my bag year round. This is super flippy. I can throw it on a steep hyzer and get it to flip to flat and still turn. It is a disc that if I need to throw like a patent pending or a standstill or something where I'm like pinched and have to do a short backhand, I can get this thing to turn still. It is also I don't have a forehand, and so I throw this guy disc. Moving up in stability, my most thrown slot is where this Lumen Cosmic Fury 2 sits right now. This is my winter throwing putter in my neutral slot. This thing goes a mile. I love throwing this disc. It is an excellent winter disc. The plastic doesn't get too stiff out there, and during the summer months, in the warmer months, I do instead bag the Luna. I bag either the Big Z or the Z Luna or the Big Z Luna, depending on just my mood that day. This is probably the one that'll be in my bag the most. It is starting to get a little bit more understable than this one, but the Luna is a great throwing putter. I did try to putt with them at one point, not these two, but like the Luna in general. Can't stand it as a putting putter, but as a throwing putter and a guy who loves to throw putters, I love the Luna. It's top of the list. And then my last throwing putter is an S-Line P2. This is again one of those discs that may stay in the bag during the summer months, may come out of the bag during the summer months, because instead I may bag like this C-Line P2 or like a Sky God 4. I do have some old Sky God 4s that I kind of rotate into the bag as like an overstable throwing putter. I don't always bag an overstable throwing putter because I do like to bag zones. So I bag like a jawbreaker zone. This is a super beat in zone. This zone will turn. It'll finish to the right. It is one of those discs that is kind of like I'm going to say a unicorn disc at this point. It doesn't fly like you would expect a zone to fly. It will flip to flat and turn a little bit, but because it's an overstable approach disc, it still has its integrity and won't burn over. And so like I can rip on this hard and it won't like burn to the ground. So this is like one of those I'm gonna say I have some get out of jail discs. The Zone will fall into that. The Keystone falls into that. These are discs that if I'm pinched or have something where I can't get a ton of power on something, I'm reaching for one of those discs. Moving up in my stability range, I have a Crystal Flex Get Freaky Zone. This is like my straight zone at this point. It has been in my bag for quite some time. It is one of the longest discs that I've had in my bag. And so it never came out. I would put other things in around it, but this zone has never come out of my bag. And so it's like my straight zone. I just recently put in a new Crystal Flex Get Freaky Zone. This is supposed to be like the color shift one, I believe, but I'm gonna be honest, I've never seen this thing color shift ever, even when I've thrown it out. I don't know. It is what it is. That's not the point. So this is my new overstable zone. And if I need something a touch more overstable, I was bagging the Zone OS, but I wasn't reaching for it, I found. And so like I have it, it may come back, it may not come back, it just kind of depends. But a step up in stability from my zones is the Razor Claw 2. It's the closest Razor Claw or closest tactic to a zone profile. So if you take a look at the two profiles, like it's the closest profile to the two of them. And so that's the reason why I've gone with this one. I have a Razor Claw 3 that's a little bit deeper. It feels more like the Zone OS. And so like, and then I had some old tactics that they were in plastics I just didn't love. The Razor Claw 2 though will give me some ground play. It is more overstable than both of my zones. And yeah, it gives me a good hard dump left. Moving up to my mid-ranges, I only bag 4 mid-ranges. I only bag 2 molds in my mid-ranges. I bag a Jawbreaker Buzz. This guy is super understable. Flip, turn, keep turning, will turn and burn, unfortunately. But again, great disc. Falls in the same category as my Keystone and my Zone. And so it's one of those nice flexy plastic, will turn over. I can put it on hyzer and it'll flip and turn. It's just a great disc for that. Moving up in stability and my most thrown mid-range, shocker, is a Buzz. It is an ESP Buzz. This is it's Chris Dickerson Tour Series, but I don't remember what year they did this stamp. But this is the longest standing disc in my bag. Everything else is kind of come and gone between there and whatnot. And so this is my do everything disc. If I need to throw anything and I'm not confident in anything, I'm grabbing this disc, putting it on whatever line, and that's that. I threw this disc on a local course during the last tournament I played. Of the 18 holes out there, I probably threw this disc on 7 of them pretty easily, either as a tee shot or as 2 shots. Like that is the disc I reach for when I need a confident disc in my hand. Moving up a touch in stability is this Chris Dickerson Tour Series Buzz. This one's slightly more overstable. I do though plan on putting in the new Ezra Robinson Peach Pirate Buzz when it warms up, because this is a good overstable run of Buzz. This isn't that crystal plastic. Again, it goes right with Z plastic. In the cold months, I don't like throwing it. and so it has not been in the bag yet because I just got it. But the few times I've thrown it, it's been nice and overstable. But until then, I'm going to continue to bag this. This is pretty much if there's a slight headwind or something weird where I need my buzz to finish a little bit harder to the left, I can trust that this will go on hyzer and stay on hyzer instead of it being one of those discs that will just stay straight. My green buzz will stay straight pretty much. Even if I put it on some hyzer, it's just going to go straight. If I put it on anhyzer, it's going to hold the anhyzer. But in a headwind, if I put it on hyzer, it's going to flip and turn. If I put this on a hyzer in a headwind, it's going to pretty much stay straight. And that's pretty much the difference in those two buzzes. There's not a ton of difference, but there's enough that I can justify bagging both of them without having to move to, like, say, an MD3 or a Rock 3 or something along those lines that is a step up in stability. The last disc I bag is a Buzz OS. This is an ESP Buzz OS. I don't throw it that often. This is brand new. I just put it in the bag the other day. It is just an overstable Buzz OS. It's a little bit domier than, say, like a Z Buzz OS, which, again, I may bag a Z Buzz OS or an ESP Buzz OS depending on the weather. Moving up to my fairway drivers, I bag 2 molds in my fairway lineup, 3 if you count my 9-speed, but in my fairway lineup, I bag 2 cicadas. I bag this ESP one, which is my flippiest one, and then ironically, I bag a Z one. I don't throw the Z one in the winter. It just sits in my bag because instead I will throw this S-Line FD. This is an old school S-Line FD that has a beautiful flight to it right now, and so it is the disc that I'm leaning on instead of, say, this cicada. Again, I love the cicada. As a person who threw the Passion for a while and the FD, the cicada is what I really wanted, like, these FDs to be. Whereas I found these FDs to be very different in their runs, depending on which FD you grabbed. The cicada, I have found that the ESP one is pretty understable out of the box, and then the Z one has a little bit more integrity to it. I can still get the Z one to turn. I just can't get it to hyzer flip and turn. I have to throw it flat to turn. I can throw this cicada on a steep hyzer and get it to turn. It is a little bit more used than this one. I've had this guy longer, but that's kind of, the cicada is pretty much understable out of the box, whereas even though these are 2 used FDs, I've had both of these, I've either, found this one in a used bin, traded for this one, but they're both used. This one still has some bite at the end. Not a ton, but it has some bite. It's very similar to my Z Cicada brand new, I would say. But this is pretty much, I'll throw this in the winter, I'll throw the Cicada in the summer. But I bag them both just in case. And then this is another S-Line FD, but it flies more like an FD1. And so it was just nice to stumble on this run of FD because I pretty much could bag 2 FDs and 2 cicadas and be pretty happy instead of, I bagged T-Birds for a while, T-Bird 3s. I've bagged the Onyx, the Athena, all different 7 or 8 speed discs, and I've just never found one that I loved in my hand, like, say, the FD. I'm excited for the Sagara to come out because I am going to test those in my bag when those come out and have been released. I will say that, similar to like my putters in my mids, I will put in a couple of C-Line FDs in the summer, just kind of depending on, mood, hand feel, temp, all that fun stuff. The C-Line doesn't get quite as gummy. I do like gummy plastic, but I will say these old S-Line FDs will get like super gummy, and I don't love that feeling. But like I have this tan-ish, orange-ish color FD, which is pretty much a put it on the line, it'll stay on the line FD. And then I have this clear FD that has, again, if you know what runs of FDs these are, both of these, if you know, let me know, because I've been trying to figure out what they are. I just can't figure it out. Like, I feel like they're early run FDs that I found, but I'm not totally sure. Like, this guy's got some serious dome to it, whereas, I mean, they both kind of do, but this one, I don't know. I don't know my runs of FDs. I've looked, I have tried, I haven't found them. But this FD is a little bit more overstable even than, say, that purple S-Line one that I bagged. So that might go in the bag come summer. We'll kind of see. Moving up to my 9-speed. In my 9-speed slot, I carry an FD3. This is a C-Line FD3, but it's a gummy C-Line FD3. Great feeling FD3. It's pushes, finish. It's a utility disc pretty much. If I absolutely can't get, say, this there because of a headwind or something, or I need it to dump harder, I move up to this. If I need a forehand, I absolutely need a forehand. It's something I can put on a forehand and kind of chop over and get it to work. You know, utility disc, I do throw it quite a bit. I would compare it to like a Sexton Firebird. If you've ever thrown one of those, I traded that away for some things at one point when I had it. But like, I'd compare that to the Sexton Firebird in stability. Moving up to the 10 speeds, I throw a lot of I throw 10 speeds a lot. There was a time where I bagged more than just these 4, but I've gone through some bag changes recently. And so starting with my most understable is this old ESP Avenger. I love having a overstable disc beat into an understable disc because it's going to continue to have some integrity. Although this one is slowly starting to get to the point where it'll flip, turn, and it has burned on me a couple of times depending on wind, depending on the angle I throw, the amount of hyzer I throw it on, or if I try to like overthrow it. Again, this kind of fits that same slot as that Buzz, that Jawbreaker Buzz, the Keystone, or that Zone. And then moving up, this is one of my most thrown 10 speeds. This is an Onyx. This is my beat-in Onyx. This is my if I lose it, I will cry disc. This would be like my green Buzz, or like that green FD/Blue Cicada. You'll notice in my bag that I try to layer things on top of each other. And so, for example, this disc, these discs, this, and then we can even go all the way down to, say, this, all have a similar flight. They're just different discs in different locations in my bag. I pretty much took a disc that I liked, which was that green Buzz, and then I built my bag around it. I worked its way up and, you know, found the Cicada, found that FD, got this disc. Like, I worked my way up to a disc that flies similar to that, but just goes further. And so then I did the same thing on the overstable side. So this would be like my overstable. This is a G-Star PD. I put it in for the winter, but it's something that I think is going to stay in my bag. I like the flight of it. I get a slight bit of turn out of it, but not a ton. Enough that I can push it a little bit further than this guy, which is just an overstable S-Line PD. There's not much to say about it. This is my has to finish left. It'll go further than my FD3. And so it's one of those where if it's a raging headwind, I need the same flight as that green PD. I'll reach for this PD. I did have an Onyx in that slot, in both of those slots actually, but I lost the Onyx that was in this slot, and I was in mourning, and so I couldn't put a new Onyx back in. And so pretty much I went to the PDs that I had. Moving up to my distance drivers, I'm going to talk about 2 of them first here. So this is a first run Hades. This is a special blend S-Line Cloudbreaker. These are the two discs that I pull out the most. This one has a hyzer flip to turn and finish. It doesn't handle a headwind. It would be probably one of my max distance discs, if I had to put it that way. And then I have this Cloudbreaker, which is it's not crazy overstable. It has plenty of stability left though, but it is a workable overstable. And so flex lines, if I need a choppier, like a choppy forehand that'll go further than say that FD3, I reach for this guy. Crazy headwinds, I reach for this guy. But what I'm looking for, and what I have in there right now is a Zeus. I'm looking for something that fits between these two discs. And so like a Zeus, the Drive, the Captain's Thrasher, I have, you know, like a beating Cloudbreaker, I have different runs of Hades, like all these different things in my bag or in my closet that I might put in the bag. But as of right now, I've decided to go with the Zeus. This is a lighter weight Zeus. It is a 164, 166, and it's really beat in. And so we're going to see. I just picked it up not too long ago, and so it's something that we're going to give it a try to right now. But if you have any suggestions for something that'll fit in between these two in stability, I want something that is like, again, that is similar to this disc, but it just goes further. But yeah, so let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think, what I should try, something I should put in there. You know, I've tried the Drive, I've tried the Wraith, I've tried the DD1, the Captain's Thrasher, regular Thrashers, like just different discs. I've tried them all. And I've tried them all. That's not true. I've tried a lot of them. And so if you think of something and you're like, man, that's the disc that you should put in that slot that is good right off the shelf, let me know in the comments below. After taking a look at my footage for this video, I realized I stopped talking and just quit. I also realized that when I filmed this segment the first time, it had zero sound to it. And so here we are trying it again. I just first want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you for clicking on the video and seeing what was in my bag for this 2025 season. Really appreciate it. And until the next one, let's keep learning one throw at a time.